What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're recapping the New England Patriots getting the win over the Tennessee Titans 35-14. This is somewhat in the ballpark of what I predicted. I predicted 31-10, and for the most part, what I predicted came true. Tom Brady just not slowing down at the age of 40 and just on his way to his 7th straight AFC championship game, and that's just record-breaking and record-shattering, and I don't think anybody's going to reach that, and it would at least take 7 years for a quarterback to do that, obviously, because he's been there 7 straight times. So we're not going to see that probably for the rest of our lives, really. So Tom Brady on his way to his 7th straight 7th straight AFC championship game, and on his way to another Super Bowl run. If he does that, we'll see who he will be facing off against. We've got some good candidates in the NFC. This should be a good Super Bowl coming up. Whether it's the Steelers in the Super Bowl or the Patriots, the Jags are the odd man out in the AFC. But anyway, going on to the Tennessee Titans versus the New England Patriots. Now, in the beginning, I thought this may be a close game because, I was watching what they were talking about in the beginning of the game, saying, the trenches, the advantage in the trenches belongs to the Tennessee Titans, and I, for the most part, believe that. Because that offensive line for Tennessee is pretty good. That defensive line for Tennessee is pretty good. And I think they both have an advantage on the New England offense and defensive line respectively. But you've got different coaches. You've got Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels there as offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And head coach, you got Bill Belichick. And it's just, the coaching just outweighs any skill on the field right now. It matters about how you coach. You got Mike Mularkey out there, the same guy in this game. It was 4th down and 2 with seconds left to go in the first half. I'm talking like 24 seconds. You're just barely past New England territory. First of all, why are you going for it on 4th down? And if you do go for it on 4th down, I get you're in the playoffs, you're down 21-7. Why do you go for it on 4th down, just barely in New England Patriots territory, and you run the ball? And I now understand from Titans fans how frustrated they are with Mike Mularkey and his downhill running scheme, his power running scheme, old school pound the rock, things like that. I get the frustration coming from the Tennessee Titans fans of how he runs his offense, and it's ridiculous. He trusts the run way too much. Derrick Henry was not getting anything the whole game. What made you think that he was going to convert that 4th down and 2? I saw a lot of players going in motion. I saw, a lot of shifting to the left side. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a play action to the left side. It's going to be a rollout to the right. Maybe Marcus Mariota is going to get a look where he could run for a 1st down, or he can pass for a 1st down to a tight end. But that didn't happen. They straight up handed the ball off. New England wasn't falling for it whatsoever. There was nothing to fall for. There was no play action. So it was ridiculous. It was like a huge loss for Derrick Henry, and he tried to bounce it to the outside, but he's not a shifty back from left to right. He's a lateral runner. So he's a north and south runner. So don't understand the logic there. But, they lose yards, and automatically Tom Brady has like 10 yards to work with to get into field goal range. Of course, amazing play by Tom Brady. I believe this was during that time. Yeah, Tom Brady rolls out the pocket to the right side. He's being pressured. You think he's going to run the ball. I'm like, why is he going to run the ball? Please don't run the ball. He throws it across his body to the other side of the field and finds Danny Amendola, and he catches the ball to get them in field goal range. That's just the greatness of Tom Brady, and it doesn't matter. You should have known. On top of that, Mike Mularkey had no timeouts. He used that timeout right before the 4th down because he was thinking about punting the ball. You have no timeouts and you still run the ball. Think about the logic here. Say you run the ball, okay? You have like 24 seconds left. Say you run the ball and you get the 1st down miraculously, right? They don't, they think it's a play action, and they shift their linebackers outside, hoping there was a play action, but there wasn't. Derrick Henry runs for a first down. Let's say he gets 5 yards out of the 2 he needed. He gets 5 yards. You guys have no timeouts. You guys are gonna have to spike the ball. You guys are not in field goal range. So then again, you have to try to throw the ball on 2nd and 10. That gives you 1 less down to work with. You haven't been passing the ball down the field as of late. You haven't been successful in passing the ball. I mean, that management of the clock and those coaching decisions were terrible. I could have managed a game better than that. You're lucky that Stephen Gostkowski missed that field goal. Not that it mattered. You guys got blown out 35-14, but still, you could have gave this team a little bit more morale. If you converted that 4th down with a pass, hopefully with a rollout, you have a dual threat quarterback in Marcus Mariota. That should have been the first thing you thought of. But whatever. If Mike Mularkey might get fired because of this. I mean, everyone knew Tennessee was going to lose, but they could have had a chance in this game. There was just some bad play calls in this game, really, and bad clock management in this game. But let's get right into the stats. Tom Brady, 35 out of 53. He threw the ball 53 times, and yet his running game wasn't all that bad either. Dion Lewis running the ball pretty well on top of that, and he had himself 2 touchdowns in this game, both receiving touchdowns, right? Was it Dion Lewis that had both touchdowns? Oh, no, it was James White that had 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. And it was in the same style. One of his touchdowns was in the same style they won the Super Bowl in last year to win the game in overtime. So Dion Lewis and James White, I mean, can we talk about them for a second? I mean, these are guys that are just considered as, scat backs, 3rd down backs. But they do pretty well in this New England offense. I mean, they get some stuff done. They do a lot better than... Devontae Freeman had 10 carries for 7 yards, guys, in this playoff game against the Eagles. I mean, and Dion Lewis and James White consistently, when their name is called, they perform, and nobody considers them as one of the best scat backs in the league. I think Chris Thompson is that best, the best scat back / 3rd down back, those type of backs in the league. But, Dion Lewis and James White are right up there. They can, on top of that, they can run the ball, and that, that's just a New England product. That's what you have to do in New England. Look at Shane Vereen. He does the same thing. And Shane Vereen did the same thing on the Giants when his name was called. So, I mean, great job by the running backs for New England. Marcus Mariota, let's go on to Tom Brady. I don't think I finished the stats. 35 of 53, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Dude was an absolute monster this game. We move on to Marcus Mariota, who was 22 of 37, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, we talk about Marcus Mariota. He did not play bad this game. This was not on him. There were a lot of drops in this game, a lot of receivers that just couldn't make passes. Sure, were there some incomplete passes that were Marcus Mariota's fault? Yes. But, Corey Davis, he caught that touchdown. He had both. He scored all the points in this game. One was in garbage time. One was in their first score early in the game, and he completely disappeared after that, Corey Davis. Then Derrick Henry did virtually nothing. Like I said, that 4th down play, completely atrocious. I don't understand that play whatsoever. I will never understand that play. And I will probably look into a post-game interview with Mike Mularkey. Hopefully he explains that play, why he wanted to run the ball on 4th down and 2 with no timeouts, just barely in New England territory. But it is what it is. I'm sure they got plenty more questions to ask him after that blowout loss. But Derrick Henry, 12 carries, 28 yards, 2.3 yards per carry. Marcus Mariota was the leading rusher, 4 carries, 37 yards. That is pretty sad. But New England's defense has gotten better this past season. They started off really slow, allowing 30 points a game in 6 straight games, and it was ridiculous. No. I'm talking about 6 straight games of allowing a 300-yard passer. Sorry. But they did allow a lot of 30-point games. Some of them they won because New England's great offense, but some of them they lost. So, anyway, moving on. Going to the running game for New England. Dion Lewis, who we were just talking about, 15 carries, 62 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. Brandon Bolden, who really was a clock chewer at the end of the game and did well in that. 4 carries, 27 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and a touchdown to seal the game, basically, to just whatever morale was left, or whatever confidence was left in the Tennessee Titans was wiped away by Brennan Bolden himself. James White, 4 carries, 11 yards. Didn't do much in the rushing game so much as in the receiving game. Danny Amendola for New England, 11 receptions, 112 yards. He was having a day on Adoree Jackson and I forgot who else is on that defense. Ty something. But yeah, just not a good day for the secondary for Tennessee. Rob Gronkowski, 6 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this Rob Gronkowski completely bullied Kevin Byard this game. Kevin Byard, he's a safety. He's supposed to be guarding the tight ends, but he is not ready for Rob Gronkowski. Jesus. I think every single one of Rob Gronkowski's catches was Kevin Byard in coverage. He could not guard him whatsoever. One of them was a back shoulder throw from a tight end. For a tight end to do that is pretty difficult. I know the size is there, but you have to have the quickness to turn back and without the defender noticing and grabbing that ball. Jesus, Kevin Byard got destroyed, and on top of that, he allowed a touchdown from Rob Gronkowski. And also, Kevin Byard was responsible for that James White touchdown. So if you ask me, Kevin Byard did not have the best of days. Brandon Cooks didn't really do much. I was thinking he would have done something because he's a speedster. So you would think that he would find some opportunities downfield. He only had 3 receptions, 32 yards. He got caught on a couple curl routes. Eric Decker. This is a bad day when Eric Decker is your leading receiver, who is their 4th receiver on their roster. Eric Decker, 6 receptions, 85 yards. Corey Davis, 5 receptions, 63 yards. None of them really matter because he did not show up in the thick of the game. He showed up at the end of the game where they were just trying to, score some points and not make it look as bad, trying to pad the stats a little bit, where he scored 2 touchdowns in this game. One of them really mattered in that amazing one-hand catch that I'll give him credit for. That was a great play there by I believe that was on Stephon Gilmore, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a great play by Corey Davis. Moving on, Delanie Walker hurt his hand in this game, but he was still playing. That kind of concerned me a little bit. How panicked the Tennessee Titans were. Delanie Walker still went in the game. Jonnu Smith was also hurt. They lost I'm tripping over my words. Jack Conklin early in this game. That was a big loss because Jack Conklin is a hell of a right tackle. So, they had a lot of injuries, Tennessee Titans did, but that's no excuse. They still couldn't execute. I don't even think with all of them being healthy, they were still going to execute in a better way than they did. Logan Ryan against his former team was the leading tackler for the Tennessee defense. 12 tackles, 10 of them solo. Had himself a pretty decent day. Allowed a couple catches in turn. You don't want to have your cornerbacks having 10 tackles. That means they gave up a couple passes and they had to tackle their man. So you don't want to have your cornerback being the leading tackler. If you do, you want around 8 or 7 tackles, somewhere around there. But 12 of them, that means your guy's giving up a couple passes here and there. Wesley Woodyard, 11 tackles. Kevin Byard, 10 tackles. Like I said, you don't want to have your secondary guys, cornerbacks, safeties, whatever. Well, safeties is different, but in this case, it wasn't the same because Kevin Byard had to tackle Rob Gronkowski 6 times or had to tackle him 5 times. And, that accounted for 5 of his tackles. In total, he had 10. So, not good when your safeties and your cornerbacks have a lot of tackles, when it comes to a certain aspect. But, a certain situation in the game. But yeah, moving on, the New England defense has played phenomenal. That defensive line for New England completely bullied, and I mean bullied, the offensive line for the Tennessee Titans as Marcus Mariota was pressured. There were a couple of drives where Marcus Mariota was sacked back to back. We talk about right after they got out of halftime. It was 11 minutes or something like that, or 10 minutes or something like that. The Titans have the ball and they're stuck in their own end zone as Marcus Mariota is sacked twice in a row, and it happened again on a different drive. And it's just a drive killer. It's just, when you get sacked the first time, you're already kind of down. You're like, oh man, how are we gonna get this 2nd and 20? But when it's 3rd and 30, you really have no hope in getting a first down. That's why we've seen a lot of times it was a 3rd and long, not just a 3rd and long. We're talking 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. We're talking 3rd and 20, 3rd and 20 plus a couple times in this game where Marcus Mariota had no other option than just to dump it off to Derrick Henry and hope he gained some 5 yards to give the punter some room, and that was it. But what else can I say? New England is just great. The Tennessee Titans, it was a fun story. A lot of people were like, oh, don't sleep on the Tennessee Titans. And I was like, for the most part, I can believe it. They would have to start off strong, which they did, but they really slept towards the second quarter onward, at the end of the first quarter and the second quarter onward. It was just no I knew once New England scored their second touchdown, when it was 14-7, I knew New England had it in the bag. There was nothing Tennessee could have done to stop New England. When they scored their second touchdown, they could not have been stopped. New England they scored on 2 straight drives, so they weren't stopped whatsoever. So, with all that being said, the Tennessee Titans go home, but they did exceed expectations, so they should be happy about that. Comeback next year. I don't know if Mike Mularkey will still have a job, but come back next year, and hopefully you make a bigger run, fix up that defense a little bit. Your offense is pretty good. Just fix it up a little bit. Get some more wide receivers in. Give Corey Davis somebody else to work with, because Corey Davis seemed like the only, threat for that wide receiving core, besides Delaney Walker at the tight end position. But Corey Davis is that big wide receiver that defenses always circle. No matter if this guy is dropping balls or not, they always circle the big receiver. And Eric Decker is there to catch balls a couple times, but how much longer are you going to keep him around? So build up that wide receiving core. Give Marcus Mariota someone else to throw to, and I guarantee you these guys will be back in the playoffs. Fix up that defense a little bit. Shore up that cornerback spot a little bit. And I guarantee you they'll be back in the playoffs in no time. Whether they win the AFC South, I don't know about that. But moving on to the New England Patriots, they move on to their 7th straight AFC championship. We'll see if they make it to the Super Bowl. Hopefully not. I'm tired of seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I just want to see someone else different. Pittsburgh, please, just make it Pittsburgh. Or Jacksonville. That would be crazy if Jacksonville made it to the Super Bowl. They would have to go through Pittsburgh and New England. But we'll see about that. And then we also have next week to look forward to with the Philadelphia Eagles versus whoever wins that Minnesota versus Saints game. That should be a great game to watch tomorrow. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think of this game? If you're fans of these teams, one of these two teams, let me know what you guys thought about your team and the opposing team. And I'll see you guys in the next video.